About a year and a half ago, I met a woman at an event. She was in her early 40s and came from the Midwest, a town near Chicago. She was dressed quite simply and didn't talk much. But whenever she moved in the room, people would unconsciously keep turning toward her. I'm not just talking about myself here, I mean everyone. And she was well aware of this, though she didn't seem to care much. In fact, that was one of the things that made her even more intriguing. On my way home that night, I found myself asking, what is it that this woman does to have such a powerful effect? I carried that question with me for years. I observed, read, and listened. And I've now come to a clear conclusion. Being noticed isn't a matter of chance. It's the accumulation of specific habits. Today, I'll try to explain in detail what I've learned from that woman and what I've experienced over the years. But let me say this right away. When you see the 9th item on this list, you might say, I've probably never even thought about that, because that item is the one most often overlooked and the one that makes the biggest difference. Before we get to the first item, I'd like to ask you to do something small but meaningful. Write, I don't need to exaggerate to be noticed in the comments. Because sometimes the strongest step a person takes isn't through grand words, but by embracing a simple sentence like this. This isn't just a comment, it's a quiet sign that you've stepped away from the rush to prove your worth to others and have accepted it from within. Let's dive right into our first point. 1. Claim the room you enter, but do it without making a scene. I want to start with a question many women don't actually ask themselves clearly. For example, when you walk into a room, especially in the first 7 to 8 seconds, have you ever noticed what you're doing? Most likely you're checking your phone, or you're heading straight towards someone you know, as if rushing to a safe harbor. Or you're moving to the farthest corner, trying to make yourself invisible, as if you'd feel much more at ease if you weren't even there. Essentially, all of these actions say the same thing. I'm not really sure I belong here. And believe me, the people around you are reading these attitudes and behaviors clearly, without you saying a single word and without you even realizing it. What I've described are some of the quickest ways to go unnoticed. Let's look at it from another angle. A study conducted at Princeton University clearly showed that people form their first impressions of someone they've just met in as little as 100 milliseconds. Think about it. I'm talking about 100 milliseconds. So before a single word comes out of your mouth, a decision about you has already been made, and those first moments I'm talking about are entirely in your control. Next time, try this. When you walk in the door, stop for 2 or 3 seconds. Really stop. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Feel your presence there first. Let your shoulders drop slightly. Try to be natural. Scan the room once with a calm, relaxed, slightly curious gaze, as if you're seeing it for the first time and enjoying it. Then walk with confidence. What I'm saying might sound simple, but you can be sure that the difference between someone who does this and someone who doesn't is clearly visible, even in the same room. Someone who does this unconsciously conveys, I'm here, and I'm in no hurry at all. People pick up on this clearly, even before you say a word. As you know, the brain processes body language much faster than text, and an impression is formed even before you've said a thing. I'd also like to add this. Most women who use this technique consciously for the first time are genuinely surprised. Is that it? They ask. Yes, that's it, because almost no one actually does it. Everyone rushes to do something the moment they walk in, immediately heads somewhere, or tries to latch on to something, but you stop first. That moment of stopping is what will set you apart from everyone else. Claiming your space isn't about shouting something out loud. It's about creating a clear space for yourself without making a sound. You shouldn't be the loudest person in the room. You should be the one standing in the right place. By the way, this might not be the first video you've watched on this channel. If you've been here for a few videos, that means a lot to me. Because here, we're not just watching content, We're noticing things together, growing stronger together, and getting a little closer to ourselves. If these videos resonate with you, you can stay with me on this journey by subscribing to the channel. The subscribe button is right below. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. 2. Let your words carry weight when you speak. You've surely noticed this yourself. There are some people who say a lot, yet when you look back, nothing sticks in your mind. Then there are others who say just 2 sentences, but those 2 sentences linger in your mind for days. This outcome isn't actually a coincidence. There's a subtle yet very clear difference between them. The first group speaks just to fill the air, to prevent any silence from forming. Silence makes them uncomfortable, so they feel a constant need to produce something. A sentence, a comment, a reaction. But they're generally like empty vessels, lots of noise, little substance. The second group, however, speaks only when they have something to say, and only then. And this difference is felt very clearly the moment they enter a room, even before a word is spoken or an explanation given. I'm going to ask you a sincere question. Which one are you? If you're struggling to answer, consider this. How many times in the past week have you felt compelled to speak? Not because you actually wanted to say something, but because the silence felt uncomfortable. How many times did you think, I should say something? Whatever that number is, that's the answer to this question. Here's what I want to say. You're under no obligation to answer every question immediately. Wait a second or two. Wait as if you're really thinking. It's not for show, and it's not just to fill the moment. Those few seconds send a wordless message to the person across from you. I heard you, and now I'm thinking about it. This feeling is something very few people experience in their lives, because feeling truly heard means feeling truly understood. Since so few people do this, you instantly stand out. Last year, I met a woman at a panel discussion. If I recall correctly, she was from San Francisco, in her late 40s with short, dark hair. She was dressed very simply. As far as I remember, she wasn't wearing any accessories. She was the person who spoke the least throughout the entire panel. While those around me were whispering to each other, while the moderator was speaking, and while the room was filled with various noises, she was simply listening calmly from her seat to everything that was happening. Yet every time she spoke, the microphone turned toward her. I'm not saying this figuratively. It actually happened. People physically began to turn toward her, because when she spoke, everyone knew they were about to hear something. How had he created that expectation? By never speaking unnecessarily. He didn't do anything else, just that. You can be sure that silence isn't something that diminishes you. Someone who talks constantly becomes predictable, filling every gap, jumping on every question, diving into every topic. And what's predictable eventually becomes invisible, unnoticed. But when someone who speaks sparingly and knows exactly what they're saying does speak, everyone listens to them with their full attention, unconsciously. What will they say, they wonder. And that anticipation alone gives you a certain weight, even before you've started speaking. In social psychology, this is called conversational currency. The more you spend it, the less value it holds. The less you use it, and the more judiciously you use it, the more value it gains. Just like money, use your words sparingly. Use them judiciously. Sometimes even a single sentence is enough, if that sentence truly carries deep meaning. 3. Understand the importance of making eye contact the right way. We've come to one of the most important and valuable points. I assume you know how to make eye contact, but are you doing it correctly? Unfortunately, most people have never asked themselves this question, because eye contact seems like something that just happens. Automatic, natural, but it isn't, and this difference is far greater than you might think. In reality, there are 2 extremes here. The first, looking away too much. You look at the floor, to the side, or at your phone while speaking. The person across from you wonders, are they even listening to me? You come across as insecure, unintentionally, but you do. The second, staring without breaking eye contact. A fixed, unyielding, almost frozen gaze. This time, it's just as off-putting. People instinctively pull away. Neither of these makes you stand out. On the contrary, they push people away. Of course, the right approach is somewhere in the middle, but not exactly in the middle. Here's how it works. When the person across from you is speaking, look into their eyes. Really look. But break eye contact naturally now and then, not toward the window, but to the side as if you're thinking. Then return your gaze. This rhythm conveys the message, I'm listening to you, but I'm not consuming you. It may seem like a small detail, but the person who senses this rhythm feels at ease in your presence, and they won't forget the person who makes them feel that way. To give an example, when you smile, let your eyes smile too, not just your lips. People can tell a fake smile by looking at your eyes. Don't forget that. Your lips move, but your eyes stay blank, and the person you're talking to's brain flags that as not real in a matter of milliseconds, unconsciously but definitely. Perhaps the most important detail here. When you see someone for the first time, don't immediately look away after making eye contact. That reflex, that sudden look away, gives off a "I've been caught" vibe, as if you've done something you shouldn't have. Instead, stay for a second. You looked, you saw, you acknowledged. Then continue naturally. That 1 second "I saw you" pause makes you memorable. Because in that moment, you're telling the person across from you, I noticed you, and I'm not shy about it. That's confidence, without a word. Research on this topic specifically shows that eye contact creates a sense of connection and trust in the other person, but only when it's established naturally. Forced, artificial eye contact produces the exact opposite. A study conducted at the University of Tampere found that individuals who make natural eye contact are perceived as far more charismatic and trustworthy in social settings. Not technical, just natural. In addition to this, there are group settings where most people only look at the speaker. Do something different. Scan the group occasionally. Observe others' reactions. This gesture conveys the message, I'm not just reading the speaker, I'm reading the room. And someone who reads the room is perceived as the most aware person in the room. Eyes say everything you don't say. Use this, but use it right. Ultimately, use your eyes not just during speaking moments, but during silent ones too. When someone is speaking, you're silent, but your eyes are speaking. That silent gaze, calm, steady, unflinching, sometimes carries a message stronger than anything spoken. Because people hear words, but they feel eyes. And what is felt stays in the mind much longer than what is heard. 4. Don't say your name in a boring way. Here's the thing. This is the detail American women look down on the most. Hi, I'm Sarah. Done. Over. Forgotten. Seriously. Do you know how many people said that sentence that day? Hundreds. Same speed, same tone, same reflex. Not the name, the sound. It passes by, doesn't stick, leaves no trace. And you, too, fade into that crowd without even realizing it. Think about it. You shook hands with dozens of people at that event. How many names do you remember? 2, maybe 3. So why do you remember them? Most likely not because they were very smart or very beautiful. They made you feel different in some way, and that difference often came from something very small, a posture, a glance, a pause. Remember this, a name is the most abstract part of your identity, but it's also the most concrete, because that word, just that word, is the only thing that sets you apart from everyone else in that room. How you present it determines how you present yourself. This isn't an exaggeration. It's how the human mind works. Try doing this once. Wait a second before saying your name. Just 1 second, but a real second, not a filled-in one, not one rushed through. Make eye contact with the person across from you, the kind we discussed earlier, calm and steady. Then say it, clearly, calmly, without rushing. As if you're presenting your name not as information but as a thing, Not like a gift, but like something with weight, looking at it from another angle. Neurologically, this is what happens. That 1-second pause sends a pay attention signal to the other person's brain. You're stopping their brain from running on autopilot. And when it stops, it processes the next piece of information, your name, much more deeply. The likelihood of remembering it increases significantly. So you're actually telling the other person, pay attention to this name. Unconsciously, but definitely. There's also this. Don't jump right back into the conversation after saying their name. Give it another second. It's as if you're letting their name hang in the air. This will feel strange at first. You'll think, is this too dramatic? No, it's just different. And that difference is quietly working its way into the other person's mind. I admit it. You might feel a bit odd the first time you try this. That's normal. Every new habit feels foreign at first. But by the second or third time, you'll notice something has changed. People will ask for your name again, but this time not with "sorry, what was your name?" They'll just ask you to say it one more time, as if they want to hear it again. Your name isn't ordinary. Don't present it that way. Above all, never forget this. Exchanging names isn't a one-way street. When you introduce your name properly, the other person says theirs. And in that moment, truly listen. Repeat it to yourself. Once, just once. Because remembering someone's name during the first conversation and greeting them by name in the next encounter, this leaves a stronger impression than anything else you do. When people realize their names are remembered, something inside them softens, and that softening is what makes you unforgettable. 5. Slow down. Someone who acts in a hurry will never be able to take center stage. Here's the truth. A flustered person is always someone trying to get somewhere, and that feeling comes across to others. You're probably walking fast, talking fast, and reacting quickly. Maybe it seems efficient to you, maybe you think it's energetic, but from the outside, it reads like this. This woman isn't confident. Someone who's in a hurry looks like someone who's out of control, and people don't trust someone who seems out of control. They don't consciously choose not to, but they sense it, always. In reality, slowing down isn't laziness. Slowing down is saying, I'm here and I'm not in a hurry. These two things are very different. Let me share a memory. I saw this very clearly at a meeting I attended a few years ago. There were 8 people at the table. Everyone except one was trying to say something, to prove themselves. Their voices were overlapping, everyone was preparing their next sentence, and the room was filled with a tense energy. That one person, a woman in her 50s with short grey hair, wearing a solid dark blue outfit, was just sitting there. Calm, slow. Even the way she placed her hands on the table was slow, as if there were no reason to hurry. When she spoke, her voice didn't rise, but everyone fell silent. Naturally, without even realizing it. As I left that meeting, I remembered what that woman had said, not what the others had said. She wasn't the one who spoke the most at that meeting, but the weight of the room rested on her. That's all. Besides, neuroscience backs this up. Individuals who move slowly and deliberately are perceived by observers as having higher status and being more trustworthy. This isn't intuition. It's the brain's automatic interpretation. Numerous studies, including research on primate behavior, show that those in higher positions within a hierarchy move more slowly. This is an evolutionary coding. The brain interprets speed as a threat or panic, and slowness as power. So even before you say a single word, your speed alone gives you away. Now let me ask you this. Which one are you in that meeting? Are you one of the 8 trying to prove yourself, or the one carrying the weight of the room? Be honest, because your answer determines what you'll change starting today. On top of that, slowing down isn't just physical. It includes your response time too. When someone says something to you, you don't have to jump right in. Wait a second. Take a breath. then speak. That 1 second doesn't make you look weak. On the contrary, it sends the message, I'm someone who speaks after thinking. And that's a message very few people can convey. Try making this one small change today. Just one thing. As you enter the next room, consciously slow down your steps by 20%. Don't overthink it, just feel it. You'll notice, not just in how others look at you, but something inside you is changing too, because the body and mind follow each other. When you slow down, your thoughts settle, your breath deepens, the noise fades, everything falls into place. Being centered doesn't happen through noise. It happens by staying still. Also, let me say one more thing, and I'm saying this specifically because most women overlook it. Slowing down isn't just an attitude toward others. It's an attitude toward yourself. Someone who lives in a hurry eventually can't even hear their own inner voice. When you're constantly rushing, you lose touch with what you feel, what you want, and where you need to stop. Slowing down is as much a social strategy as it is the simplest way to stay connected to yourself. And a woman who is connected to herself stands out the moment she walks into a room. She doesn't need to do anything extra for that. 6. Your reaction is your signature. Be aware of this. I'd actually like to start by asking you something. When someone tells you something, what's your first reaction, generally speaking? For example, do you say, "That happened to me too"? Yeah, I know. Or do you just say, "Wow," and move on? Wait a second. Really think about it. The thing is, these reactions may seem innocent, but each one does the same thing. It shifts the conversation back to you. You take what that person is telling you and turn it back on yourself. The same thing happened to me. It's no longer their story, it's your story. And the person across from you, without realizing it, starts to feel like, I might as well not have told you. They won't say it, but they won't share something that deep with you again. Of course, that's not listening, it's waiting for your turn. Do you know the difference? A listener focuses on the person across from them. Someone waiting for their turn focuses on their own response. You can't be both at the same time. You choose one, often without even realizing it. Unfortunately, here's the reality. Most people don't listen. They wait for a response, and this is always felt by the person across from you. Always. Without words, without explanation, without a conscious choice, it's felt. Because the body language of someone who listens is different from that of someone waiting for their turn. Their eyes are different, even their breathing is different. The saddest part of this is that a communication study conducted in the US revealed this. Over 70% of people don't feel truly heard in their daily conversations. 70%. That's a huge number. So just by truly listening, you're already setting yourself apart from the vast majority, without adding anything, just by being there. Of course, the true response is usually much simpler. It's saying, I'm with you right now. Sometimes just raising your eyebrows is enough. Leaning in slightly, saying, really, but out of genuine curiosity, not for show. Waiting silently, creating space for them to bring out their next sentence. These silences feel uncomfortable to you at first. You want to fill them. Don't fill them. In that silence, the person across from you finds themselves. Now let me also point out this. Don't exaggerate your reactions. The "wow, that's incredible" performance doesn't fool anyone. It just leaves a superficial impression. But don't downplay the genuine ones either. That slight lean forward, that go-on look, that well-timed question. These become your signature over time. A part of what defines you. People remember you not for what you said, but for how you made them feel when you were with them. Read that sentence again, because it contains everything. Ultimately, because so few people actually say this. Giving a genuine response isn't a skill. It's a choice made anew in every conversation. Will I truly listen to this person, or will I just wait for my turn? Most people aren't even aware of this choice. It runs on autopilot. Be aware of it, that's all. In your next conversation, when the person across from you starts speaking, ask yourself once, am I really here? That question changes everything. 7. Stop cheapening your smile. First, let me say this. Smiling at everyone isn't kindness. It's a habit. And as you know, anything that becomes a habit loses its value. Imagine this scenario. You walk into a store and the cashier smiles at you. Then the next person and the one after that. Everyone. The same smile, the same angle, the same duration. Do you remember that smile when you leave the store? No, because that smile wasn't for you. It was for everyone. And if something belongs to everyone, it belongs to no one. Of course, you might be doing this too, without even realizing it. As you can see, you smile reflexively at everyone you meet, everyone who looks at you, and everyone whose eyes meet yours in a crowd. You want to seem kind. That's understandable. There's no bad intention behind it, but over time, this smile stops being a part of your identity and becomes just a facial habit. Just like the "I'm fine" response to the "How are you" question, no one stops to think, no one is really answering. Automatic, empty, it passes, and people sense it. They don't consciously choose to, but they feel it. The most striking part of this is that research shows a genuine smile, the kind known as a Duchenne smile, which involves the eyes, is processed neurologically differently from a fake one. In other words, the brain across from you can tell the difference, always. The lips move, but the eyes stay still. The brain labels this as not real within milliseconds. Unconsciously, but definitely. And what's labeled is forgotten. On top of that, everything changes when the smile is genuine. When something truly makes you laugh, when you genuinely feel warmth towards someone, that moment is frozen in time. The person across from you thinks to themselves, "This smile is for me." They don't say it, and they might not even realize it. But they can't forget you, because in that moment, you gave them something real. I always think of a woman I met in Tennessee when it comes to this. She was in her early 50s, wore glasses, and was a calm woman. We met at an event. She barely smiled all night. Her face was neutral, not cold, but distant. Then at some point I said something. I don't remember exactly what, it was a small thing, and she laughed, with her whole face, with her eyes. It was so unexpected, so genuine, that people at that event were still talking about her days later. She was such a warm woman, they said, from a single smile. So you can't force it, that's true. But here's what you can do. Let go of the automatic response. Keep your face neutral, not cold, just calm. Thoughtful, ready. When something truly moves you, then smile, with your whole face, with your eyes. And when that moment comes, let it come, don't hold it back. That smile stays in people's minds longer than 10 fake ones. Cheap things are everywhere, don't be one of them. Let your smile be rare and complete. 8. Know when to leave. This is probably something no one has ever told you. And that's exactly why so few people do it. Let me give you an example. You went to an event. The conversation is flowing. The energy is high. People are drawn to you. And you stay there. You stay. You stay. The conversation slows down. The energy drops. Everyone gets tired. You're still there. You're no longer that interesting woman. You're the woman who hasn't left yet. Do you feel the difference? For example, think about it this way. Your favorite song is playing. You listen to it once. It's amazing. You listen to it 5 times in a row. It doesn't give you that same feeling anymore. The song hasn't changed. You haven't changed. But the dosage has changed. And dosage changes everything. You're the same way, just like everything else. Of course, I also want to add this. This goes against most women's instincts. Because leaving early feels like running away, like, I'm not loved, I'm not wanted. No, Quite the opposite. Someone who leaves at the peak takes that peak home, and so do the people on the other end, with the feeling of, "I wish we'd talked more." That feeling makes them want to see you again, looking at it from another angle. In the world of marketing, this is called the scarcity effect. What's scarce is perceived as valuable. This isn't manipulation, it's how the human mind works. Research in behavioral economics has shown time and again, people find what they don't have more valuable than what they already possess. When you're limited in a setting, that limitation adds value to you. Whether they realize it or not, the people across from you sense it. Never forget, learn to leave a conversation at its peak. Right at that moment, while everyone is still smiling, the energy is still vibrant, and you're still at your best. Stand up, stay calm, don't rush. Rushing to leave ruins everything, and we'll discuss that in point 10. But for now, know this. Choose that moment to leave. Choose it consciously. Don't stay until the very end in every setting. Don't drain every conversation, wear yourself out or bore others, or do the exact opposite. Be seen less, stay valuable. 9. Ask questions, but you have to ask the right ones. For example, the question, "What do you do?" has been asked hundreds of times that day, at breakfast, during a lunch meeting, at an evening event. The same question, the same answer, the same forgotten face. When you ask that question, you become just one of dozens of faces in their minds. A routine encounter. It passes by. Ask a different question. To give an example, how did you get into this line of work? How long have you been in this city? What do you like most about this? I know it sounds trivial, they might even seem ordinary. But with these questions, you're doing something very different. You're drawing the person across from you into their own story. You're making them the storyteller, not just the one giving answers. And people can't forget the person they've shared their story with. This isn't intuition, it's psychology. Additionally, research conducted at UCLA has shown that when people talk about themselves, the brain's reward centers are activated. Dopamine, a real, measurable feeling. So the person asking the right questions makes the other person feel good on a neurological level. You aren't even speaking, but that person leaves feeling good because of you, and they seek out the person who makes them feel good, again and again. Furthermore, asking questions isn't a technique, it's a matter of intent. If you genuinely care about the person in front of you, the right questions come naturally. If you're asking to seem impressive, the other person senses it in an instant. The difference between fake and genuine interest isn't in the words. It's read in the eyes, the breath, and the silence after the question. In fact, what you do after asking the question matters too. Are you checking your phone? Are you preparing your response? Or are you truly present, waiting for that answer? Listening, truly listening with your full attention, is becoming a rare thing in this world. And like everything rare, its value is increasing. Also, the wisest part of a conversation is sometimes not speaking at all, just asking, then falling silent, then listening. That person will remember you when they go home, even if they don't know your name exactly. 10. The exit is just as important as the entry. I want to start with this harsh truth. You pay a lot of attention to how you enter, but you often don't even notice how you leave. And right there, in that moment, everything you've built up to that point either solidifies or falls apart. Imagine this. You've left a great impression all evening. You stayed calm, spoke the right things, and people were drawn to you. Then someone called you or something came to mind, and you got up, in a hurry. "I'm leaving now. See you later," you said, grabbing your bag and walking out. A shadow fell over the impression you'd left up until that moment, in those final 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds. But the brain carries those 5 seconds with it. Actually, it's very easy to do this, because the moment of departure is usually the least thought about moment. You prepare for the entrance. You think about what to wear, how to stand, what to say. The exit, Nothing. It just happens. It passes. But it doesn't really pass. It stays in the other person's mind. For example, think of a movie. It's going perfectly. You're immersed in it for 2 hours. The final scene ends badly. What do you talk about when you get home? The final scene. That's how the brain works. The end erases the middle. Of course, in psychology, this is called the peak end rule, a fact revealed in the work of Nobel Prize-winning researcher Daniel Kahneman. People remember an experience based on its most intense moment and its final moment, not everything in between, the final moment. This isn't a theory. It's a fact that has been tested and confirmed time and time again. And this truth applies to every conversation, every encounter, every goodbye. You are that final moment. Keep this in mind. The people you met that night are heading home. Before they go to sleep, they relive that evening in their minds, often without even realizing it. And how do they remember you? By your entrance, the middle of the conversation, or those last 5 seconds as you walked out the door. Kahneman's research makes it clear. The final moment. Remember, stay calm as you leave. Don't rush. Really, don't rush. Not for the sake of performance. Put your phone in your pocket. Slap your bag over your shoulder, but do it without haste. Look them in the eyes. Say goodbye by name, not just see you later, but by their name. And say something. 1 sentence is enough, but make that sentence personal to that person. Not, "It was nice talking to you." That's generic. It could be said to anyone. Say, "I'll think about what you mentioned," or "It was good to hear that. Thank you." Something taken from that conversation, that person, that moment. Not generic. It belongs to them. You're walking out the door, but the trace is still there, and that trace lingers until morning, sometimes longer. The entrance brings you into the room. The exit leaves you in their mind. After these 10 points I've mentioned, I'd like to briefly summarize this. There have been times when you've thought to yourself, "I'm not doing this," maybe 2 or 3 times, but that feeling is the most valuable thing this video gives you, because you'll realize that awareness is the only true starting point for change. Don't try to change everything all at once. Just pick one thing this week. Maybe pausing for 2 seconds when you enter a room, maybe waiting a second before saying your name, or stepping away during a conversation. These might seem small, but here's the thing. Small things, when done consistently, manage to leave a big impact. If this video inspired you, even just a little, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to value yourself, walk your path with courage, and live every moment of life a little more mindfully. Because when a woman recognizes her own power, she can change not just her life, but everything she touches. See you in the next video.